Welcome to the channel. This is a channel on war games, and the channel is called Punched. So the term punched refers to the practice of punching out the counters, the cardboard counters from war games. So a traditional war game is going to have a hex-based map and cardboard counters that represent military units and other things that are important to the game. And so when you first buy a game, the game is not punched. If you're purchasing a game from somebody else, that's one of the ways to describe the game, whether it has been punched, partially punched, or unpunched. In this case, punched. All right. This is not an unboxing video. A gentleman by the name of Mark Ruggiero made the unboxing video for this particular game. And so that video remains his. This is simply an inventory video. So we're going to inventory the contents of the game. Hopefully talk a little bit about the game itself. So this game is Armored Knights, Guderian Crosses the Meuse. Okay, it is a game by Grognard Simulations Incorporated. It's designed by Chris Fasulo and Robert Wiebe. I hope I get the pronunciation right. Okay, this is the Battle of Sedan in May of 1940. The Germans are coming out of the Ardennes forest, and they have a certain amount of surprise. The French were not expecting them to do so, and they take over the town of Sedan, and they cross the Meuse River and then head off west towards the coast, ultimately reaching the coast along with other German units and cutting the French army in half, leading thereafter to the evacuation at Dunkirk, and after some later battles, the French surrender. So contents. So we'll start off. It's in order to have a game, you typically have to have dice. We have a couple of nice 10-sided dice here. One appropriately colored, I think, for the French. One appropriately colored for the Germans, or Sauron, I suppose. But very nice dice. Feel free to substitute your own. So we have a great rule book here, spiral bound, very easy to navigate through. A lot of detail in the rules, a lot of interesting stuff going on here. So plastic protectors in the front and in the back. Good stuff. We have another spiral-bound notebook, which includes sequence of play diagrams, plenty of tables in here, flak, air mission success, routing, very important in this game, counter battery fire, terrain effects, combat results, and you can see some complexity in the combat results, but it's not that bad. If you're familiar with this sort of thing, you will feel right at home. It's not that bad at all. Okay, and finally, the combat proficiency table. This is very interesting. It's an optional rule, technically, but I recommend that should you pick up one of these Armored Knights games, that you, in fact, utilize the combat proficiency table. They will give you a lot more flavor of what's going on, and they add some complexity, but they also add considerable nuance to the game system. Good stuff. All right, you can't have a hex map and counter game without your hex maps. So here we have one of the maps. Ironically, this first map here, it is mostly not in play. It is mostly out of bounds. So the northern portion of this map, roughly 3/4 of this map, is out of bounds through most of this game. I'll do a quick setup of some bits and pieces of this map. Here is, in fact, the town of Sedan, and a lot of the action is going to be here. The Germans come from the northeast. They invest the town, driving past some French forces that are in this area. They get up to the river. They ultimately cross the river and route through the French forces that are in the area. They picked a really good spot in which to do it. And as you can see, the map is very nicely colored. Most of the things are very distinctive. You have a road network, railroad network, bridges, of course, towns, which are very relevant. You have some elevation changes as well. There is the Ardennes Canal, an important terrain feature as well. I won't bother with the other map portion. So the French are mostly set up south of the river. They have some screening forces north of the river that are supposed to buy time. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Pardon me. Try to do this in one take, but later on I might get clever with things. All right, so you can't have, again, you have to have a map, you have to have counters. So there are five equivalent sheets to this one. You can see that it's partially punched already. Some of the counters have come out. It is front and back, so some of these counters are larger units that can take a step loss, for example, and you flip it over to the back side. These are French. Here we have Germans. The Germans have been fully punched, pretty much, and we have additional French right here. And I will be getting to punching those soon and preparing for the conflict. Let's see. There we go. So I want to point out these are laser cut counters. They come off the sprues very easily. They have one small nib at the top, one small nib at the back. And they are, of course, two-sided. Deliberate attack, hasty attack. All right. One thing I like to do is I like to scan the counter mix. I like to scan the counter mix and be able to print off, make printouts of it for reference and have it on screen for reference too. All right. Now, a nice feature to this game is they have scenario cards. In this case, they have 3 scenario cards here. Each scenario card has 2 sides. The front side has a scale representation of the entire map, along with the setup areas. So here are the the 5th Division Light Cavalry, 5 DLC. This area up here in the yellow, you can see the German setup locations. They are on the roads coming out of the Ardennes and ready to punch through. And you can see French 55th Division, 71st Division, and their respective regiments set up here, along with corps and army troops as well. So very nice, very nicely done. Very, very easy and understandable. And on the back side of each card, you get the setup instructions. So name of the scenario, missions, special, any restrictions in movement, and there are quite a number of restrictions on the French. They get caught rather flat-footed. They didn't think that the Germans could punch through the Ardennes that fast. They thought they would have more warning. Of course, victory conditions and commentary. Again, fairly understandable. I didn't have too many questions when I was going through these. I will probably include any clarifications that I can find in an upcoming FAQ. So I will say that if you run into questions with the rules, with the combat results table, or with the scenario cards, anything having to do with the game, Chris Fasulo over at Grognard Simulations is very responsive. He really cares about the community of players that is rapidly growing up around the game systems that he publishes. So if you have questions, you can get answers. Also, there is a Facebook page for Grognard Simulations, and really good online resource for asking questions. Pretty good engaged community. All right. I'm going to gloss over this. This sets up next to the map. You simply have lost boxes, turn trackers, and other such things. The day, of course. So these are all part of the game system, and very nice, heavy card stock. And of course, it has a nice rubber boats, I guess. And these look like they are, what, we have a 37 millimeter pack over here set up, looks like, ready to provide covering fire for the troops crossing this particular river. So wonderful. Gives a bit of a flavor of the game here. Okay, one of the things that I really like about Grognard Simulations, as far as I know, every game they have published includes order of battle sheets. Okay, so here we see what do we have here? We have the Germans up front. We have the French in the back here. And I'll point out some things. We have the 3 Panzer divisions, as well as a Grossdeutschland regiment of infantry, some corps troops down here, artillery and engineers. We have all of the air support, and it's quite a bit of air support available to the Germans in this case, and some Luftwaffe flak units. Now, some of these also include 88s, which definitely come into play when the French at one point are able to bring on a counterattack with one of their armored divisions coming from the south. So the 88s will be very welcome for the German player at that point. Great place to lay out your counters. They have the counts here. One thing I would like to point out is that the counters can differ somewhat, right? There are 3 counters. They might not all quite be the same. There's typically, for example, a self-propelled gun in each of the infantry battalions here, the 1st Infantry battalions in these Panzer divisions, okay? The tanks themselves, some of these will be 9s, some of these will be 7s. They are somewhat variable, okay? But the numbers of counters are correct. Note also the color coding here. So it's very easy to find the Luftwaffe, for example. They're all white. Grossdeutschland, red, and then the different divisions are blue. What is this? Sort of a brown, and then orange, right? The corps troops are white. So very easy to find out who is who and to keep things straight. All right, the French, much the same way, okay? And you can see that the French have, considering that they are fighting defensively, they have, pardon me, they have quite the number of troops, 2 infantry divisions. Let's see, 2 infantry divisions. I think this is a tank brigade down here. Some fairly decent tanks. They have some heavies and some mediums, and so on, and quite a number of troops. One thing I would point out, you notice the annotations here. Green, right? Lots of green. These are green troops. They are relatively inexperienced troops. Now, these folks, these troops are line troops, okay? They are experienced troops, not veterans, but they're good, okay? So this is something to be aware of. The morale level of the formation, this is everything that's color-coded the same color is a formation, right? This is a division, for example. So every formation has its own, I guess, level of experience, right? So green, line. The Germans are veteran or elite, and that extends over to the Luftwaffe units, elites and veterans, and so on. So this is fairly important. This was a big factor in the battle. The Panzer divisions coming for the Germans, they were some of Germany's best, whereas the French thought they were in a quiet sector. They had badly misread the capabilities of the Germans to get through the Ardennes. And so they had what they called Category B divisions. That's the 55th and the 71st here. So they did not hold together very well when the Germans came calling. But that's the challenge on the French side, and the challenge on the German side as well, is to make the most of what you have in this particular game. I believe the game system fairly well represents what you need to do here, what the units were capable of. So I wanted to show you these. This is how I'm storing my counters. These are, my kids were nice enough to ask for a 3D printer for themselves, which I have pretty much monopolized since then. Thank you, kids, for your printer. I let them use it too. But these are nice. These hold, basically, these 2 boxes right here hold all the counters for the Germans. So capable of holding 400 counters here. The Germans, of course, don't have quite that many. But each of these cells will hold 10. If you're careful. 9 is probably better. And the setup that I have here is, hopefully you can see this. I have the 10th Panzer Division on the top. I have the 2nd Panzer Division on the bottom. And they're laid out more or less according to let's see, probably better to do this, more or less according to what you might see here. So the armor is together, the artillery is together, motorcycle, infantry, anti-tank, and so on. So just a very convenient way of storing them. The nice thing is that with the covers, by the way, these are available off of, I believe, Thingiverse. And I like the covers because these guys are not coming out of here. You know, you hop in a car, you hop in a plane, whatever, you're perfectly fine. So that's the Germans. So far, I have not punched many of the French. This is the 5 DLC. I believe I spoke of the 5th Division of Light Cavalry. These are all the forces that are available, plus the French Air. This is what's available on turn 1. Turn 1 is the 1600 turn on May the 12th. So just for perspective here, nope, wrong one. Bear with me. Right one. Okay. These are the German forces, the ground forces only, not including the Luftwaffe, not including the air. The Germans have everything here on turn 1. The French have everything here on turn 1. It's going to be a very interesting turn. There are rules that let the reconnaissance units in the 5th DLC, for example, they can trade space for casualties. So if they can take up to 2 casualties and just trade that for movement in reverse. Scouts forward, I guess. All right. And of course, informational counters. So the game relies heavily on informational counters, but they're very useful. And again, well protected. So that's it. That's the counters. That's everything that's going on here. And hope you enjoyed the video. As is always the case with YouTube, please, if you like the video, please do like it. Hit the like button. And would love to have you subscribe. I plan to make other videos in the future. As soon as I can get this thing under plexiglass, I will have a gameplay going on. Likely, first turn. I'll likely work the first turn more than once to see what I can do with the French and to come to grips with the game system. So this is a very dynamic game system. It has a very flexible operations phase in which you can move and then fight a unit, and then move and fight another stack of units. And you can have multi-stack attacks and so on. And quite a bit of flexibility. And so German ops, German deliberate combat. So that is not a hasty attack. You can do hasty attacks all over the place here. But when you pick a deliberate combat, it's different. So, and then of course the French can do much the same. So it should be quite interesting to see how this thing comes together. Pardon me. Hope you enjoy the video, and look forward to making some more videos and seeing your comments down below. And we'll see you down the road. Thanks.